Alright then lads, we're back for another Dragon Ball Sparking Zero discussion video. I don't really do these that often, but I thought this one would be very important to to cover. Since I've seen this come up in quite a lot of debates, and it's been sprouted everywhere and recommended. I just thought I'd offer my 2 cents on the whole ordeal and just give you guys some perspective as to why Sparking Zero is going through a hard time right now. And I say hard time, but still 5,000 players is still pretty good. So all things considered, the game is still doing relatively fine. But I just wanted to cover what people are considering the end time of Sparking Zero. And what I mean by this is that Sparking Zero had a 120,000 player peak all time, according to Steam charts. And it's probably even more on console. That's usually the case with Dragon Ball games. Now, one thing I have seen though is that this game had a 90% drop from its first 4 weeks. I think we can show it here. This is a better perspective. So, initially, there's a lot of hype surrounding Sparking Zero. So if we can go back to October 15th. So this is when... Yeah, no. October 15th wasn't when it dropped, really, was it? Surely? Let's do 3 months. Okay, we can't do 3 months. So the earliest date we can get is October 15th. But I'm pretty sure the game dropped on October 14th? Like, officially for everyone. There was the early release date, but I definitely had a factor into it. But, yeah. You see here, we started 75,000. And the number has been, ever since that day, the number has been floating in the 10 to 50,000 number. The lowest being like 20,000, which is still pretty good. And we keep bouncing up and down. It had an average of 30,000 players, like pretty much every single day, which is, again, insane. But then the numbers started to dwindle around October 31st time, like especially here. October 31st or October 30th, we cut down from 30,000 players to 24 and then to 20,000. And then we cut down to, we're still at 20,000 actually, but now it's starting to dwindle a little bit more. We're down to 15,000 players. And then 10,000, 15,000. And as of right now, as I'm recording this, the current player base on PC is 10,000. As in, like, that's pretty much the maximum amount of players playing Sparking Zero, which is, all things considered, for a single player / multiplayer ranked game, that is pretty good. There are games that would love to be at that number. But, we consider the all-time peak, which was 120,000. That is still quite a stagnant drop. That 120,000 PC players, well, I'd say 110,000 PC players have chosen to completely stop playing the game, or at least are not playing the game right now. You can see here in the last 30 days, there's been just basically a halving of the average players. It's kind of insane to think about. But these numbers speak for themselves. In the last week, let's do last week. So in the last week, we've had basically bouncing around the 10,000 number. In the last 2 days, 4 hours, we've had again 10,000. So there's still roughly 10,000 people still playing Sparking Zero, which it's an achievement in itself, honestly. But yeah, that's the statistics side of things. I want to cover this article by The Gamer. And it states only 10% of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero players remain, losing 90% in under 4 weeks. So here's key takeaways. I'm glad that this article has this. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero started strong but lost 90% of its players within a month, impacting its success. No, I don't think it did at all. That's immediately wrong in my opinion. Because what defines success for a video game, especially, well, this is a single player video game. Well, mostly single player video game, with multiplayer being like an afterthought, like something they just put in just so, you know, that sector of the fan base could be appeased. I think the game has sold incredibly well, all things considered. It surpassed every other Dragon Ball game when it comes to, you know, sales on release. And I imagine over time it will surpass Xenoverse 2 when it comes to how many copies sold. Probably in the next year, honestly. So no, I don't think this impacting its success is really all that important. Because number one, I guarantee you a large majority of the players who bought the game got the Ultimate Edition, which is the most expensive version of the game that comes with the free DLCs and all that good stuff. I'm pretty sure some players bought the anime music pack. Yeah. A lot of the game's success comes on how well it sells, not how well it survives, if it's a single player game. So let's take, like, I don't know, Stellar Blade, for example. That game is strictly single player, and that's probably one of the most successful PlayStation games of all time, even if not a lot of people are playing it right now. My point still stands. Success is defined by performance, not longevity. The only time longevity has a factor in success is when you have a free-to-play live service game, like a Mega Strikers, Fortnite, you know, that sort of thing. As also the gacha games like Dragon Ball Legends, Dokkan Battle, that sort of thing. Same reason why Bujigiri Match kind of died off, because that game did not have good longevity and there was no player base for it, and the means of accessing it was really inconvenient. Issues like balancing problems and cheating complaints have contributed to the game's decline. Let me just start off by addressing this. The developers specifically say that balance was not going to be something they considered or care about. The whole point of these games, these Budokai Tenkaichi games like Sparking Zero, or at least they follow up to that series, is that balance is immersive. So if you're going against Broly, you're gonna feel like you're going against Broly, and if you feel like you're playing as Hercule, you're gonna feel like you're playing as Hercule. You know what I mean? It's power scaling, and honestly, it comes to just a skill issue when it comes to that. You can beat UI Goku with Hercule, it is possible. You can beat Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta with Hercule. Those two characters come to mind because they're the most infamous examples of overpowered and just bullshit characters. You know me, I do not like Gogeta in online ranked videos because they just are really, one, noted, they're really overpowered. It's just incredibly annoying to go against. But I'll just suck it up and move on to the next one. Cheating complaints. This is one I haven't seen. I don't think I've seen anyone complain about cheats. The only cheat I've ever seen about Sparking Zero is two things. Mods conflicting with other people's games when they're in world tournaments or in online matches. So say if you have a mod that, I don't know, changes the moveset of a character, or, I don't know, makes Ki infinite, something that's game breaking. That will cause the other player to disconnect or cause desyncs and other online issues. The other cheat I can think of is players who have unlimited Ki, so they can just spam ultimate and super attacks, which is obviously hacking, but I've only seen one instance of this via a clip on Twitter, but other than that I've never seen it, so I don't really see how this second tab here, cheating complaints, is, you know, all that prevalent. Balancing problems can turn people away, but that's part of the game's core identity, which is lack of balance. Unfortunately, that is just, they're just gonna have to suck it up, unfortunately. Despite the drop, the game may recover upcoming content releases and bad history of supported Dragon Ball games. No! Let me just clear that up right now. Xenoverse 2 only has the support it has because the developers refused to make a third game. let's just get that across. If the Xenoverse 1 did not have this level of support, Fighters has a very wonky relationship with Bandai and the support it gets, because Arxis just do not want to work on Fighters. Sometimes they'll get updates like the netcode update, sometimes it'll just be left in the dust or rot. Breakers is on its deathbed, let's be honest here. If we're talking about dead games, Breakers is right there. So no, I don't think Bandai really has a history of supporting Dragon Ball games in the way that the gamer is, you know, describing it. And upcoming content releases. This is hit or miss, because a lot of us did buy the Ultimate Edition, which got us, you know, the season passes for all the DLC packs. But if they are going to release free updates, like adding new free characters to the base roster that should have been there, then I'm all for it. Okay, but let's take a look at this article. When its early access launched on October 7th, yeah, October 7th, I knew it wasn't 15th. Sparking Zero got off to a flying start, and within 24 hours, the game became the most played fighting game in Steam history. See what I mean? Yeah, just a massive success. Beating the likes of Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, and Mortal Kombat 11. Not like MK11 was a high bar to pass, but I digress. Less than a month later, however, the game is struggling to retain players, losing 9% of those who jumped in during its first few days. And here you can see the chat, they show chat here, similar to the one we used. When it launched, public sentiment around Spark Zero was great. It was released with an 85% score, yada yada. Good. Sold 3 million copies within 24 hours. Peaking at 120 players. Yeah, it did really well on release. Fast forward a few weeks, and for the last 2 days, the game has been peaking around 15,000 players and won an 87% drop since launch, according to SteamDB. While such a drop-off might be expected from a player title, a multiplayer game losing such a significant portion of its player base in such a short period of time is a concern. But you just contradicted yourself. It might be expected from a single-player title, a multiplayer game. This is... I know it has a multiplayer in it, but multiplayer is not the focus for Sparking Zero. I don't know why... I don't know why this article is making it out like this game needs those numbers. It does not. It really does not. Sparking Zero is just a game you hop in whenever you want to and just play it. Like, multiplayer is just part of the fun, you know what I mean? And it's also not taken into consideration the creative battles, like the creation battles, the custom what ifs and stuff like that. Sparking Zero coincidentally has now failed to beat Street Fighter 6's daily concurrent player count since Sunday, October 27th, because Street Fighter 6 relies on its multiplayer aspect. Sure, it has a story mode, but the game is, in all means and purposes, just a fighting game. It's very popular on Evo, and it's overall considered a very strong Street Fighter title. And multiplayer makes up a big core of that, and you can tell this because in the beta there was a large focus on how multiplayer worked. There was even a lobby system, custom create character, you could bring this online. A lot of Street Fighter 6's main gimmicks, although it has offline, it does corely focus around multiplayer like matches and stuff, so of course people are going to be playing it more. Yeah. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero has been marred with player complaints since launch. These have arisen from the game having some major balancing issues, particularly with Yajirobe. Yajirobe's not that bad. I don't know if this was a hot take or not, but Yajirobe is nowhere near as bad as people are making him out to be. He's very annoying, sure, but if you know your shit, if you know how to take care of him and shut him down, you can beat Yajirobe. Again, all these issues, like all our balancing issues, you can overcome them. It is definitely possible. You just need to lock in and have the skill to overcome them. So to quit the game because of this is, no offense, but it's just a skill issue. Unsportsmanlike players who abuse broken mechanics. Okay, let's take a look at this. Start. Borderline impossible. Okay, now that's just unblockable ultimates. Yajirobe Sensu. Android 19 spamming armor and grabs, but that's a gimmick. That's what they're built to do. They are literally built to get key via their grab, and false courage helps with that. That's literally their whole gimmick. Vanishing battles overstaying the welcome. I can agree with this. Vanishing battles are really annoying. After image strike is annoying, but it is possible to overcome it. There's no fun to be had to play against the same players, the same playstyle. I'm just playing casual matches, having fun. People actually play other characters, then go Geo over Geo. The issues were blamed on the game's story sections, which trains players to do nothing but sparking knockback ult. I mean, that's pretty much the gimmick of most of these games. Like, a lot of players play however they want. I don't think it's fair to blame a particular mode for how people choose to play. The mass boring. Okay, This is basically just saying, this is basically just a giant skill issue outside of this one and this one, because these two are genuinely problematic. An influx of cheaters. What's this talking about? There's nothing. Cheating mods. But yeah, this is the one. This is the clip I saw where there was a Kefla who just spam supers when you could just dodge. So this is what I mean. Even cheaters can't do anything in this game. It's so dumb. Very, 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 very funny. But yeah. So an exceedingly difficult sync up. That's a skill issue. Genuinely, like I think this one, and this one. These are skill issues. And not to release a statement. Release a statement? What? Yeah, load of difficulty. I mean, I'm glad that they considered that. Like, they added the option to load the difficulty. It really is just a skill issue. Like, a lot of people played this game and didn't bother to go to training mode, which is, let me just say, essential. Because there's so many mechanics that help you learn the game better. Like, trust me on that. Although the player count is looking a little bleak, there's still hope for Spark Zero, as Bandai typically supports. Okay, I've already addressed this. As of now, the game has at least 3 further pieces of content featuring 20 new characters to come, focusing on superhero and Diamond, so there's plenty of time for a redemption arc. It doesn't need one. I don't know why people are obsessed with the fact that, you know, Spark Zero could be dying soon. It doesn't need any kind of redemption arc. It's a game that you just buy and play whenever you feel like it. It does not rely on player count. Seriously. You want to talk about depressing player counts? Let's type in Dragon Ball The Breakers. Look at this. You want to talk about depressing player counts? Look at this. 400 players on The Breakers. And this is a game that relies on online. This is a game that really needs the help. In the last 48 hours, there have been, what? We reached a low of 99 players in the last 48 hours. That is depressing. Well, let's try, I don't know, Dragon Ball Fighters. That game has been under decline for quite a while now. And that is a game that also relies exclusively on online content. Look, 411. Let's try Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. And you know, another game that heavily relies on online content, since its DLCs are just single player content. And yeah, just barely scraping by 1,000 players, 637. These are all PC stats, by the way, so console could be different. Don't take this with a grain of salt, but I digress. There's a lot more games that could be using the help right now other than Sparking Zero. I really don't think we should be investing in this game surviving when these games need help and they're like not even past 1,000. Sparking Zero is completely fine. Do not worry. This game will not die for at least another few months, and even if it does die, it's not going anywhere. It's mostly single player. Multiplayer is just an add-on, so you got nothing to worry about. So yeah. Sorry I yapped for about 18 minutes. I just really wanted to cover this since it's been all over my recommended and all over my feed. So yeah. Thank you all for watching, thank you all for the support, and I'll see you all in the next Dragon Ball Sparking Zero video. Peace out.